Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Architects, mark your calendars for the Entre Architect Community Annual Meeting. It's the business conference for small firm architects. From October 23rd to the 25th, join us in Nashville, Tennessee, for an event dedicated to small firm entrepreneur architects like you. Experience inspiring keynotes, interactive workshops, and unparalleled networking opportunities. This is your chance to learn, share, and grow with peers who understand your journey. It's a unique conference, unlike any of the others. If you're a small firm architect business owner, this event is for you. Secure your spot today at smallfirmconference.com. Don't miss out. Join us in Nashville and prepare your firm to thrive in 2025. My name is Mark R. LePage, and you are listening to Entre Architect Podcast, where Each week, I speak with inspiring, passionate people who share their knowledge and expertise, all to help you build a better business as a small firm entrepreneur architect. All right, today we have a special guest who has redefined the public perception of architecture through social media. If you're an architect active on Instagram or TikTok, it's likely that you're already following him. Dory Azar is an architect and social media influencer known for his unique blend of architectural knowledge and humor. With over 150,000 followers on Instagram and 90,000 on TikTok, his videos have amassed over 85 million views and more than 1 million shares. Dory's laid-back approach demystifies architecture for the public. And in this episode, Dory will share how showcasing the intricacies of your process and infusing your personality into your content can resonate with audiences, attract new clients and talent, and uncover new revenue possibilities. Dory Azar, welcome to Entre Architect Podcast.
Mark, it is fantastic to be here. I'm so excited.
I'm excited about this too. I've been a fan of yours for a long time because I'm a social media guy. I love following social media, and I love what you're doing on social media.
Oh, thank you.
And you and I have connected more recently offline, just talking and sharing. And every time we talk, we just start talking, right? And we start comparing and helping one another. And I love our conversations.
Yeah, me too.
And I can't wait for this conversation to share you with my audience. So welcome to the podcast here.
Honored to be here. This is, I mean it. I'm really excited to be here today.
All right, let's start with your origin story. I want to know where this all started. When did you discover your passion for what you do, and who or what inspired you to get started with all of this architecture stuff?
So it's really a 2-lane road that merged at one point in my life. So I am the third of 4 brothers. So you can imagine the struggle for attention around the house was pretty tough. So I was always that middle child that loved to draw, loved to create, loved to build things out of cardboard. Just really, I was always a creator, always wanted to express myself. Even at a young age, I just kind of figure out that you could draw, you can build, you can have that young imagination and not have to get rid of it so quick. So it really started there with just a love of drawing and creating. Sometimes that meant drawing on my parents' walls with markers, which, didn't always end well. But yeah, so that's really the kernel of where it started.
Were your parents creative?
Yes. So my dad is now a developer, but when I was younger, he was a contractor. So I was going to say, parallel to my love of drawing and creating, I had this dad that was in construction all the time. So there was always drawings laying around the house. There was always that talk. There was always work boots. There was, just that was in your peripheral vision, right? And so as you get older, you still love to draw and you're still around construction. You still love to draw, still around construction. And then, you turn 13. I was a teenager. My dad had his own company at that point. And it was, come on, you're coming to work in the summers and in the weekends and just sweeping up homes and cleaning job sites and like the most mundane miscellaneous stuff. But at least I was there, right? You're on the site. You kind of know how heavy a 2x4 is. You know how guys talk and how, just how the thing operates. So you're like, I'm working in the physical aspect of it thinking, I like to draw. Like, I don't want to do the physical stuff. And then one day you realize that, oh my God, there's this profession where I can take my love of drawing and this interest I've got in construction and put them together and not get my shoes muddy. Like, this is perfect, right?
Right. And I could work in an air-conditioned office.
Exactly. So that was really how those 2 roads merged, was a very hardworking construction dad and a very loving and supportive mom who just wanted her kids to be happy in whatever you do. So I would just burn through paper and markers for fun. I was just drawing all the time. So that's really how architecture came to the forefront for me. And I would say by the time I took my first CAD class, which was, I won't tell you what version of CAD because that's not important, but what I'll tell you is I was in 10th grade. It was that moment of like, people get paid to do this. This is fantastic. Like, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I kept doing the CAD classes and I went to our local college after high school and I did my 3-year architectural technology program. St. Clair College I might as well give them a shout out while we're here.
Shout out.
And it was great. And I graduated and everything was fine. I was happy with my diploma and I was going to go work for my dad for the rest of my life. And that was it. Like, right, done. Until I met a woman, right? And so I meet who is now my wife. And I remember just in those early days of chatting, saying how, oh, I'd love to be an architect. I just can't. We're too busy. There's too much. She looked at me and I can still picture the look on her face. She's like, why can't you? In this, like, what are you, crazy? What do you mean you can't? That was the first time it ever, like, something broke for me. It was like, yeah, like, why can't I? I've been in my own head this whole time. And so she comes from a very academic family. She's got a PhD in biomedical engineering. So they're big advocates of education academia. So we sat down one day, we ordered the literature and had it sent to my house. And we sat around one day and just circled courses, and I could do this in this semester and that semester because I still had to work. So I was chipping away at it part-time. So that was the Lawrence Technological University in Southfield, Michigan. I live in Canada, but it's very typical for us to commute because it's so close to the border. And from there, I did my bachelor's and I thought this is the coolest thing ever. Took a couple of years off to marry the woman because, I mean, you changed my life. I'd like to marry you. And then went back and did my master's after that. Did all the licensing and everything for that. So that was 9 exams at the time and 5,600 hours of internship. And then in 2010, got my license. And in 2011, I went on my own, started my own practice. Prior to starting my practice, I worked for a large firm in Detroit and a couple of other firms in Windsor, where I'm from. So it was a good mix of sort of small, medium, and large firms that I worked for. One was more boutique, one was more sort of retail, commercial type thing. And it was, I don't know, it just felt like I had you're never fully ready to open your own practice. You just, at some point, you just got to jump.
That's very true.
And trust yourself. So I had a good network. I had met a lot of people in a lot of different positions. And so, yeah, in 2011, I went for it. And here we are. How are we doing? 13 years.
What type of work do you do?
Primarily, I like to define it as where people sleep. So any kind of single family, semi-detached, multifamily, residential stuff. Residential is where my heart is. I didn't always have that luxury when I started out. I remember early on doing like a ramp in front of a commercial, like they needed a barrier-free entrance. So I did like this little ramp. I think it was like 6 inches. The height was 6 inches of the ramp, and thinking like, yes, like I'm doing like commercial, like it was the greatest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
But I do have a passion for small projects, small in scale, small in, not complexity, but small in scale, and very much awkward situations too. If you have a really difficult property or, a long and thin property or something that's got weird setbacks, I want that one. Those are the ones that I love. Those yield the most interesting results to me. So that was the start of me opening my own practice. And then where the social media thing came in, we want to talk about the introduction.
That was my next question. When did the internet hit your radar in terms of content creation?
So it's been about 7 or 8 years since I've been doing social media. And when I first started doing it, it was more of a obligation. Like, I'm a business, I should have an Instagram account. And when I post on my Instagram account, it should be artsy and it should be, polished renderings and professional photos and highly crafted sketches that, the pen is just laying right on the sheet and the coffee mug is kind of on the corner of the frame. I was doing those things. And as a small firm, I didn't have all of these photos and renderings and things to post constantly, right? How often as a small firm do you have, a professional photographer running out, and how many buildings are you doing a year to be able to professionally photograph them?
And startups too. Same. That's a big question all the time. Like, what do I do? I don't have any work of my own. What do I do?
Right. And I mean, you dredge along, you post once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, and you're not going to get followers like that. People like momentum. So the pandemic hit, and my daughter was 13 at the time. She turned 13, and she said, "Dad, you got to do like TikTok more." I had an account and you kind of dabbled with it. And so through the I'll call it support or pressure of teenage daughters, said, "Dad, you got to do this." So I said, okay. So we did a little bit and we tried a couple, and I'm like, this is really fun. And there's a lot of attention because nobody's really working and nobody's really doing much right now. So there's a lot of eyeballs on social media doing their thing. And so I chipped away at that for a while, just trying to find a voice, right? Just what do I have to say that nobody else is saying that anybody would care about? And so I just got into architectural education. So talking about tips and tricks in software and how I sketch little tools that I use to help me sketch my buildings better, how I brainstorm better. how to draw a door swing. What are different kinds of wood miters that you might see on a project? Just things that you and I, maybe the average architect, might find mundane or uninteresting or obvious, but to the average person who's interested in architecture and construction, it was gold, because we're pretty guarded people, architects, I find. And
Yeah.
I look forward to the comments telling me I'm wrong, but I've always found that in my journey, the bosses were kind of, secretive. They didn't like to share. They didn't like to put themselves out there. They didn't like to talk too much. I found once I started doing that, the viewership increased, the followers increased, and really that started to take off. A couple of videos hit for a few million views, and then the followers really start ramping up, which is good and bad because the more people that follow you, the more people that want to hate you too, right? So there's more love comments, and then there's a lot more hate comments too. And so TikTok is really where I got the momentum going. And then last August to October, more in October, I had a couple of videos hit on Instagram, and I went from 7,000 followers to 96,000 followers in 2 weeks. It was just
Wow.
a rocket ship.
That's TikTok.
That was Instagram. Yeah, TikTok's been very gradual. Instagram, if I showed you the metrics, it's like flatline and then like just spiked.
So you said you started on Instagram and then you played on TikTok.
Yep. So along my social media journey, you get these little tips from people that really change your perspective on things. And one of the things was, hey, just because you posted it on TikTok doesn't mean you can't turn around and post it on Instagram too, as the exact same content. And I thought, it was that moment where I realized I don't have to make unique content for each platform. I can make one good video and post it on 2 platforms. Then I started to take all my TikTok videos and send them over to Instagram. And it's funny because TikTok started to slow down while Instagram really started to ramp up. So the Instagram thing happened in a very short amount of time. You go from nobody seeing any of your videos to now people critiquing them and suggesting more, and just people are in your business, but not in a bad way. You want them to be. You're posting it for them to see it. So that was in October. And since then, the opportunities that have come from having a presence on social media, we're not creative enough to even perceive the opportunities that have come from that.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that, but I want to talk about your content first. I'm assuming that your content has evolved over time, right? You said that originally you were posting, your pretty pictures and trying to, get some attention that way, and there wasn't a lot of attention. Then you did this TikTok thing, and then TikTok, you learned something with TikTok and realized that there was some formula to what you could do in order to gain attention. And then you brought this over to Instagram, and Instagram replicated it at Instagram. And then the power of Meta helps you grow, right? Because Meta wants you to grow.
That's correct.
Meta, for anybody who doesn't realize, is the owner of Facebook and Instagram. And so how has your content evolved over time? And what are you seeing is really resonating? What are those posts that have those million views? What makes them different, and why are they resonating?
I think the short answer to that is, I think there's a large part of the population that either are closet architects or wanted to be architects at some point, or
most of the world.
Like, it's understandable, right? I mean, everybody lives in a home. Everybody works in a building. Everybody goes to the doctor in a building, goes to school in a building. Like, it's hard to not have an opinion on buildings. Whether you're complaining about the entrance or you want to sit by the window because you like the light that's coming in at that time of day. Everybody's got an opinion on even a bad kitchen layout, right? Somebody blames the architect for it, or, So I found that the content, once I sort of found out that people just want the stuff that we would learn in the first 2 weeks of school, people just don't know the information we take for granted. So a couple of the first videos on TikTok that did very well for me were how to draw concrete in section, the little stippled triangular.
I saw that post.
Yeah. That was a 15-second video where I literally, the house we were staying at, we were in like a Airbnb, had a foundation wall exposed in the garage. So I took a pencil and I drew on that foundation wall how to draw concrete in section. That was the video, and that hit over 100,000 views. And at the time, that was a really big deal because I didn't have a following yet. Shortly after that, I did how to draw bat insulation, the
squiggles.
Yep. And that was another 100,000 views. And then people start asking, right? So this is what's interesting is once the views go up and once the followership goes up, now people say, well, how do I draw rigid insulation? How do I draw concrete that's not inset? How do I draw it in elevation if I had a concrete wall? Or you'll get people that come in, forgive me, Germany, but I think it was Germany. Somebody said, that's not how we draw concrete in section in Germany. We do it different. And then, so all these people are essentially inspiring your next wave of content because you came up with one idea that resonated with a lot of people. And now they have these other things that they're curious about. And we do those things every day to the point of we don't even realize we're drawing these things sometimes. And in my experience, there's a large audience out there that are really curious about what architecture is like behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
And so that kind of triggered the sort of educational. So I have sort of 3 verticals of content that I contribute to. One of them is education. So just teaching people, whether it's software or drafting or why bedrooms are laid out in a certain configuration, or, just why are garages generally at the front of houses in suburban locations, just kind of bringing things to the forefront and talking about them. And then humor is one of them because I have to enjoy what I do. I love a good laugh. And there's lots to laugh about in architecture, whether we want to admit it or not. There's a lot of ways we can smile. So I went down a rabbit hole of sort of more humorous videos. So part of the thing was animating really terrible looking rooms. It started with bathrooms, then it just evolved into other parts of a house, sort of building them in Revit in like this time-lapse sped up way. And then sort of doing the reveal that was an actual project by the end of it with the whole catchphrase, that would never happen, right?
Right.
That was a fluke, by the way. That was a one-time video that I didn't think anything of. And then, watch what you say because you might be saying it for the rest of your life.
That's the catchphrase that most people know you for. That wouldn't happen, right? Is that what it is? That would never happen.
That would never happen, right? So, yeah, like I said, I was just making a video one day and that just slipped out of my mouth. And here we are, almost a year later. Hasn't even been a year since the first one I did. And, here we are now talking about it.
Yeah. Can you describe one of those that would never happen videos? Because you start with sort of drawing it out as if it's this theoretical idea.
Yeah.
One example is a toilet at the top of a stair.
Yep.
You had just shown a model of a toilet at the top of the stair.
Yeah.
I mean, that would never happen, right? And then as you're drawing, explain how that worked.
So this idea I had, so the first one that I did was kind of a U-shaped staircase. And at the intermediate landing, there was a toilet and I think there was a sink also, but it was wide open. There was a window in there. Like, I have no idea why it was there. They're as confusing to me as they are to anybody else. So originally I was going to hand draw it and sort of have like this sped up sketching thing. And I'm like, what if the sketch doesn't go good? And then I got to start over. And then I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'll just do it in Revit and I'll time lapse the whole thing. And that way, if I got to delete something in Revit, like I'm not erasing, it's just maybe cleaner in Revit. So I did that. I built it up in Revit. I did a screen record and then I sped it up and narrated over top of it. And then at the end of it, I was like, but that would never happen, right? And then it cut to the image of it actually happening. And my life changed after that one video.
Yeah. So that video gets over 1 million views.
That one was 3.6 million. And from there, I've hit up to my highest viewed video is over 9 million views right now. But I have some at 6 million. I have some at 5 million. I have probably a dozen or two over 1 and 2 million. And that's the humor part, right? And so we can all laugh at a bad bathroom, at carpet in a bathroom, at any of those things that just make you scratch your head and think like, why on earth? I posted one the other day. There was like this big soaker tub in a kitchen. And it's like, well, what is the scenario that led to that? Like, why is there a tub in the kitchen? And sometimes people have answers. It's really interesting because, oh no, that was really common in New York in the 1920s. And they did it because of this, this, and this. And it's like, oh, so now we're getting a history lesson, right? So what started out as something funny, you ended up getting schooled on a little bit. And yeah, it's all in good fun.
I also enjoy that when you do critique situations like that they are harmless, right? Because there are times in our architecture world where somebody will take a building and people will start ripping it apart, right? And somebody designed that building,
Yep.
right? And so I like that that's not what you're doing, right? You're taking these incredible, like in the literal definition of incredible, these incredible situations that couldn't possibly happen.
Yeah.
But you find images and videos of these things that actually exist, and then you have some fun with them.
So let me flip that on you for a second, because like I said, social media, once you have an audience, there's a lot more love that comes your way and a lot more hate that comes your way. So there was a brief moment on a couple of consecutive videos where I was being told that I was poor shaming, that these were people, you're making fun of people's homes that can't afford any better. And that hit, like,
Yeah.
was not my intention at all, right? Is not my intention. And so there was a moment there of like, should I stop that? Like, I didn't for once perceive it that way until somebody pointed it out to me. And now I've full on abandoned some videos because
You could be more sensitive. Yeah.
yeah. And so now I try to look for ones. Carpet in a bathroom is a classic example, right? Like that's just a bad decision
So
in
many
general.
ways.
So I think we can all laugh at that one. But some of them, when I look back and think, oh, maybe that was somebody's house that was the best they had. And I don't like that, or being associated with that, or perpetuating that. So I kind of have backed off of the ones that give me that feeling of maybe leave that one alone.
You want to add love to the world, not hate, right? You want to add good things and positive vibes and add positive contributions to the world.
So I get some DMs from time to time where people just say like, hey, I watch your videos with my kids. We all have the best laugh ever. And I always post them in the morning so that, we watch them before they go to school and we all have a good laugh and it's out the door. Or there's a lot of feedback that I get like that, which is like, I love contributing to somebody's day. I got somebody's day off to a good start because I made a video about a toilet. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to keep doing that because now that makes my day. And I'm really interested in community building, Mark. I know a lot of architects that are, and I love being an architect, so I'm not bashing the profession or anything like that, but I really connect with architects that are sort of real and unpretentious and know exactly who they are and just want to do good work, meet good people, and move on. And so that's the community I've tried to build online, is just people who are willing to have a laugh at something, who are willing to engage in meaningful conversation. I'm not right 100% of the time, not even close. So if I get corrected on something and people do it respectfully, then that's great. Then we're all, it's just a good place to be and discuss architecture and design.
Yeah. At the end of every episode, I say love, learn, share.
Perfect.
Right. And so love is putting love out into the world and caring for one another.
Yeah.
Learning from one another, being open to learn, and sharing what you know, sharing everything you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I try to reply to every single DM that I get and every comment that shows up on a video. And so the reward of having a video get a lot of views and comments is great. I resonated with a lot of people. But I put this pressure on myself to acknowledge each comment and each message that comes in. And it's not easy and it's not timely. But I figure if somebody took the time to say thank you to me, or to say something nice to me, or suggest something to me, then it's 10 seconds, to reply and say something nice back. And it just spreads love, right? And builds community. And that's, my God, if the world doesn't need anything else right now, it could use some of that.
Yeah. I know that Instagram and TikTok have great analytics. So what is your target audience? Like, what are the demographics of the people who are following you?
So from a country perspective, the United States makes up about 40% of my audience. From there, it's Great Britain, which is about, I think it's just short of 20% of my audience. Canada and Australia are around 10%. And then it's really sort of long tail from there, just miscellaneous. Really, it's most of the English-speaking countries.
Do you know ages?
Ages, yeah. So it's in the 30 to 40 range is my highest. It peaks there and it goes. So I have people in all ages. It's a very consistent, it's like a pyramid where the middle is the 30 to 40-year-old, but everything else is sort of consistently tapers down from there.
Yeah, so pretty wide demographics.
Yeah, but again, that's what's interesting. This was not by design at all, but I find in sharing Revit tips and sort of software talk and how to draw things, I get a lot of students, high school and college students, that are into that because they feel it's some kind of shortcut to the knowledge that maybe might take them a little longer to get in school. I get the 30 to 40-year-olds who might be homeowners, might be renovating, might be moving, might be, that might be the stage in life that they're at where they want some ideas. And then the, say, 40 plus category is just might be general interest.
Let's take a quick break to say thank you to our sponsors for their support of this episode. Architects, listen up. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. I know this community of small firm architects very well, and I see many of you struggling. That's why I reached out to this episode's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote. And by filling out just a few questions, BetterHelp can match you with a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in the show notes. It's betterhelp.com/architect. Just use that link, betterhelp.com/architect. Clicking that link helps support this podcast, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. So you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. If you need someone to talk to, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the show notes or visit betterhelp.com/architect. That's betterhelp.com/architect. Thank you to BetterHelp for supporting this podcast and for supporting our community of small firm architects. ARCAT's Spec Wizard is the tool that will help you save time writing specifications. Going through the manufacturer's specification line by line to find the right product leads to frustration and errors, and that's where Spec Wizard comes in. It's a free, patented tool that allows you to select products and options error-free and generate a 3-part specification in minutes. Go to arcat.com, that's ARCAT.com, and try Spec Wizard today. Please visit our sponsors today and thank them. Thank them for supporting you, the Entre Architect community. Tactically, let's stick with Instagram because I think most architects are focused on Instagram rather than TikTok. Although I'd like your thoughts on architects on TikTok. With Instagram, you can do a post on your grid, you can do a story, or you can do a reel, right, which is a video. What are you doing and what do you see as the most beneficial and what are the differences?
So my biggest impact on Instagram by far are reels. And that is just because it's more visual, right? It's more engaging. A lot of my videos have drawing or animation or something like that. So people like me, for example, I can't scroll past a woodworking video. If I see somebody sanding wood or chiseling, I have to watch. Like it's just, I can't look away.
Right to the end because you want to see what it becomes.
I'm involved now. So I find with my reels, I'm very mindful of the first 3 seconds. So the hook, like to make the interest stay. If my video was lucky enough to get in front of them, how do I get them to watch as much of it as possible? So the first 3 seconds I try to make as engaging as possible. I also try to make my videos less than 60 seconds long. And the closer I can get to 10 seconds, the better. Because
that's interesting. And Instagram allows you to do 90 seconds. So you're saying 60 seconds or less.
It's more than 90.
Is it more than 90 now?
Yeah. I just posted one that was 2 minutes and 10 seconds, a little less than 2:10. That's not my audience. They're not there to watch 2-minute videos.
Yeah. You're looking shorter the better.
The shorter the better. So I posted one yesterday that was 8 seconds long. I posted one this morning that I think was 22 seconds long. And that's also my attention span, right? I love to get in. They're quicker to edit. I talk fast in general, so it fits that structure for my creation. And that's where I've landed. It's my comfort zone. The people who are kind enough to follow me, that might be their attention span as well. And you know, if you have an attention span that likes 30-second videos, maybe my account's a good one for you.
Yeah, and reels end up on your grid as well, right? So they end up as a post.
Yeah, that's correct. So on your grid, they do end up there. I've gotten into the habit of sharing my reels to my story as well. And it doesn't, depending on the length of it, might not show the whole video, but at least if somebody's intrigued by it, they can click on it and go watch it.
And that's a good tip. You can do content specifically for Reels, and then it's on all three of the different features.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'll still do some 2D posts, whether it's an image or a sketch, or I've got one, actually, I might post it today. I was at an airport that Saarinen designed. I was running really late, so I just took a couple of photos of it, and I was just going to post that as, hey, I got to see this great building quickly, but I got to see it. So just trying to spread it around a little bit and not be just posts or just reels or just stories.
Yeah.
But when I do get to stories, I will say I try to make it as interactive as possible. So I like to ask questions, right? So making use of the stickers that Instagram lets you have. So you can put in like a question box, hey, who's your favorite architect? And leave a blank and let people fill it in. And then when they answer it, I can repost that as another story. So I can kind of keep going. And then viewers can sort of go through and be like, oh, I've never heard of that architect before. Maybe I'll check them out or something like that. I like to do polls, like have people vote on certain things. And yeah, just making use of some of the other features that Instagram makes available on their stories.
Let's talk a little bit about time, because it takes a lot of time to do this, right? And so can you talk a little bit about the time that it takes for you to create what you post, as well as your schedule? How often do you post?
Yes. So a 30-second video doesn't take 30 seconds to make. That's really important to know. So this is what I try. Mark, it doesn't always work, but this is what I try. I try and I plan to batch all of my content in one sitting. So if I take a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, I'll sit down and I'll make 10 videos. I'll collect content over the week. I have a notes app in my phone where I'm always like, hey, okay, that photo, do this with it, make a post about that, so that it's not unlike designing a building, right? Most of the design might not take place over a piece of paper or over a keyboard. It's in the shower, it's on your drive to work. You're always just sort of thinking about it so that when you get to it, you're putting it out as efficiently as possible. So I try to post twice a day, which is, if you follow Gary V, he'll tell you like 4 times a day.
But he also has a team of 25 people following him around.
And I don't. So yeah, it's really another job to take it seriously. So I'm probably 10 to 12 hours a week between creation, editing, brainstorming, and just thinking it through, right? So, and even consuming content, right? Like trends, like what are other people doing? Sometimes I'll see a chef do something and I'll be like, I could use that for architecture. That's an interesting thing that translates pretty good. So, you get inspired by other creative people, not in architecture, and you're not really copying. You're just like, oh, that's a really neat, I bet you I could apply that to like brick or whatever, whatever the scenario is. So yeah, I would say it's probably on average about 2 hours a day.
Okay. And what would you say is like, for an architect who doesn't really have the drive or the intention to build a platform with an audience like yours, which clearly there's lots of intention with you, right? That this has become part of your purpose, part of your job, right? So you're an architect and you are a social media influencer, right? This has become something bigger than just post to grow the architecture firm. What would you say for a typical architect who's not looking to do that should be doing on a regular basis? What should their cadence be?
So I always took it as this. So anytime I'm doing content to promote my firm, the message that's in the back of my mind is, when a client or a potential client sees this video, how do I want them to react? So if I do a video of me showing a design option in Revit or something I'm sketching or something I'm thinking about, I want them to say, hey, that was a pretty neat idea. That's pretty cool. I never looked at it that way. I want them to think, I like this guy. Like, I identify with his personality and his energy, and I would like that energy applied to my project. So those are the two things. And it's kind of like pre-vetting potential clients. For as many clients as I've gotten from my social media presence, I'm sure people have not contacted me because they said, that guy drives me nuts.
And that's part of building a strong brand, right? Is you want to attract the people that you want, and you want to repel the people that you don't want.
Absolutely. And I think that's a hard place to bend our minds, is because sometimes as architects, I think we're taught to like just take everything, right? Like, you're lucky to have a project, get it and see. So for an architect who's just looking to grow their practice, I would say put yourself and your firm out there exactly how you want to be perceived. If you are big into sustainability, push that. Show people what some of the differences are. Talk about sustainability. Draw a sustainable detail for us. Show us cool sustainable products. Show us your built projects. Be that person. You don't need 1 million followers. That's another thing too. The end game is not to have the most followers in the world. It's just to build a big enough community that you can sustain your practice, while not forgetting that those videos live on, right? So if you make a video about sustainable flooring and 2 months, 3 months go by, that's still out there.
Right. Still working for you.
Yeah. So you might land in front of somebody who really identifies with your thoughts on that. And then they go to your account and they see that you have 100 other videos that are all about that. Now you're their guy, right? That's what gets you the follow. That's what gets you the phone call. And so it's been very nice for me to be able to have a platform to be my true self, to share some of my interests outside of architecture, to show that you're a real human being and not just a robot that just designs buildings, because being relatable is a really big part of what I do as well. Yeah. So by the time they reach out to you, you've already done the sales pitch. They're just happy to have your attention. So I would encourage any firms out there is sort of don't post what you think you should post, right? Post what you want to post. Post specifically and deeply to the categories that you want to be identified with and the clients that you want to attract. Answer those questions, right? I do a lot of residential work. I get a lot of typical residential questions every time. So answer those questions, put them in videos. Nobody calls first, right? If I'm interested in a company, I'm not calling. I'm going on their website. I'm going to their socials. I'm going to sort of view them from afar first, and then I'm going to make contact. And I think that's a typical thing right now. So for firms, by all means, if you're whatever you are, if you're exploring AI, if you're exploring VR, if you're just even dabbling in things, I've had luck with that before too, where I say, hey, I'm learning this or I'm trying that. People want to help you too. So, well, check out this app. Have you looked at that software? Did you know Revit, instead of clicking there, if you click there, it does this? And people want to help. And it's another sort of peripheral benefit of having a nice, friendly community is that when everybody likes everybody, everybody wants to see each other do well. So I've had a lot of luck. I have a lot of really good followers, just good, smart people who like to laugh, people who want to be supportive. It's a great place.
I would say one thing that you also said earlier in our conversation is don't be afraid to post the basics, the fundamentals, the things you think everybody already knows because you know them so well, right?
And, I've had this idea for a video, like, why are studs 16-inch on center and why is a sheet of drywall 4 feet wide? Right? Why is plywood 4 feet wide relative to just basic stuff that are like, oh, that's why. Why do I need to vent my attic? What are those little holes in my bricks at the top of the foundation wall? Like little weep holes. Or what are those? I've been asked a million times, like, oh, somebody forgot to put mortar in there. It's like, no, there's a reason. That's a vent. There's just the basics of it. I posted one today, the difference between awning and hopper windows. Just less than 30 seconds long. And it's just information. And then somebody asked, this question, and somebody asked that question. What about this window? You should do that next. And it's like, okay, people are just learning the basics. But the way of putting it is, think if you're creating content for other architects or are you creating content for your clients? Because if you're creating it for other architects, the bar is really high, really, really high to impress other architects. And probably there's no bar. It's just you can't impress them at some point.
And there's no benefit there. Truthfully,
right?
There's no benefit in impressing our peers.
Right. And I think that's where I started to realize that, if you're posting beautiful photography and gorgeous renderings and all this stuff, who is benefiting from that? I've gotten the most traction out of showing my process, the thought process behind things. I'm talking like I grab my phone, I point it at a piece of paper and I sketch out an idea, sharing that process with people of how did you arrive at that? And that aha moment of like, oh, that's why that window is there, or that's why that garage is on the side instead of the back, and just helping sort of some of those things snap together for people.
Before we start wrapping up here, I want to talk about opportunities, right? Because you've built a very large following. You put a lot of work and effort into this. I'm assuming that you've gotten work through this. So just basically, I'd love to understand that, the benefits of that. But what are some of the unexpected opportunities that may have come from the work that you've put together here?
Yes, I have had the emails come in say, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok. I love your stuff. Will you design a home for us?" And that is sort of the predictable, like you expect that to happen if you're doing it right. So that's been good to me. Some of the unexpected stuff is something I can talk about now, which is really cool. The company LinkedIn reached out to me. And if you do you remember the website lynda.com?
Yeah, sure.
It's now LinkedIn Learning, they call it. And they sort of scout for talent and content creators to come make videos for them to sell on their platform or as part of their subscription, I should say.
Right, and their courses.
Their courses. Months ago, I get an email, I think it was through LinkedIn, somebody saying, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok live," because I should say almost every Tuesday night, I go live on TikTok and I design homes from scratch, live in front of people. It's brave or crazy. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's a great environment and people are really cool. And I take suggestions. So I say, "Should we put this window there?" Like, no, move it there because then you can put the dresser there. And it's like, "Oh, that's a good idea."
I love when
Okay.
you name the rooms after the people who suggested them. Here's John's bedroom.
Yeah. Julie's laundry room. And that's community building, right? That's getting people involved. And then I take that final floor plan and I post it online after, and people see that and they share it with their friends. And look, that's Amy's room because of me. Like I was there and I told them to name them that. So when I got that message, she told me that she was from LinkedIn and they had been watching my lives quietly in the background, just looking for talent. And so they found me. They really thought that what I brought to the table, which was authentic and me and loose and, no pressure situation, just being sort of casual and chatty and engaging, they reached out to me to create content for them. So it wasn't a fast process to make it happen because there's a lot of approvals and reviews and things like that need to happen. But now I'm creating the written stuff now, and I'll be filming it in September, and it should be available in, I think they said November or December.
How do you get compensated for that?
It's royalty based. There's an advance on the royalties to make it worth your time. And then they are bringing me out to California for a week or two to do all the filming, and they'll handle all of the transportation and travel and accommodations for that. So it's a bit of a gamble, right? If nobody watches it, I don't make any money, but it's an interesting process, right? And I'm obviously interested in the camera. So to see how a proper production is done. So if nothing else, I'm being compensated for it, but also the education and the knowledge and the experience of just being part of something like that is something that I personally want.
And you'll also be able to leverage your audience to point to this new offering.
That's correct. So did I start TikTok so that one day LinkedIn would hire me to make courses for them? Absolutely not. I've been paid to create content for other companies. I've been compensated for content before, whether it's an experience or something like that. I've been headhunted aggressively, professionally. So there's always something waiting out there, but it's just too hard to imagine. So one example is that there's being in architecture and being a content creator makes you very desirable to sales teams wanting you to be a part of their team. So I've been approached by companies to assist them in that regard. So helping promote their products, helping sell their products. And you never thought of that for 1 second when I was doing all this. So there's just opportunities like that are really, you can't imagine them. You can't possibly think like, I'm going to do this so that this happens, right? You might think like, oh, I'm going to do this to get more clients, or I'm going to do this to sell more merch, or I'm going to do this to whatever, just be a voice in my profession, which has also been a really neat thing. But the root of it all, Mark, is just authenticity, vulnerability, knowledge, and passion, right? So as architects, we've all got the credibility. We all have the knowledge to share. And I know a lot of architects, I'm not calling out anybody specifically, but I know a lot of architects that are really straight-laced professionally. And then you get them after hours and they're hilarious and they're fun and they're loose. And then you see them professionally again and they're dead serious again. And it's like two personas, right? And I'm like, that's too much work for me to keep toggling between the after hours guy and the during work guy. So I've managed through time to blend those two to just be me. It's way easier to be me than it is to be some version of me that I think I'm supposed to be. So yeah, I would just encourage, be yourself, show your office culture, show people that what it's like to work there. Because I mean, I know we're running out of time, but that's a whole other thing that I've talked about before is talent acquisition. If you have the right Instagram feed and the right TikTok feed and young people see it, I get asked for jobs all the time. Are you hiring? I would love to work for you. Are you hiring? Are you hiring? So imagine that at a larger firm that shows they have a really cool culture. They do things after hours together. They have a softball team. They're constantly doing lunch and learns to learn more about cool new products or software. Young people want to be a part of that. We could have a whole other conversation on just talent acquisition. But again, it all comes down to being vulnerable and just showing how you operate on a day-to-day basis, not worrying about what the architect across the street's going to say about you, right? It's your company. You take care of your own turf first, and everything else after that should be just fine.
What does the future hold for Dory Azar? What's the next 2-3 years look like for you?
The next 2-3 years, can I dream big with you?
Yeah, that's where I love to go most.
All right, fantastic. I think there aren't enough architectural personalities in the world. We have contractor personalities. We have, there's celebrity contractors, celebrity chefs, celebrity doctors, celebrity, obviously musicians and actors and actors. And there's starchitects, but they're not.
Yeah, it's different.
Kind of a different thing, right?
Yeah.
I would love to see more Netflix series hosted by architects. I would love to see more architects being interviewed on Good Morning America because there's some significant building that went up or burned down or just something. We have so much knowledge that is just still bottled up. And I think if we want to do something for the profession, because we all love to complain about the profession, we don't get the fees and we don't get the respect and we don't get the thing. I think it's time to not sort of try to prove your worth on a project to project basis. I think it's pre-prove yourself out there with your socials, with your website, with whatever, and then have the world come to us. So in the next 2 to 3 years, I would love to become a voice for architects and architecture that show the world that we are worth it, that we are fun, that we are knowledgeable, that we are not just trying to spend all your money, that we are not just designing a building so our other architect friends think we're cool. To suppress some of the bad dialogue that's happened around architecture and make people realize what it is that we do. But we need a platform for that. Again, we always, people don't understand what we do. People don't understand what we do. It's like, okay, well, how do we help them understand? Like, there's so much sitting around and complaining that happens. Let's pre-educate them before they even get to us. Let's let them know what we do. Review a contract in a social media post. Explain what the 5 phases of a project are. Just inform. So ideally, I think being a voice for architecture would be what I'd love to say I'm doing in 2 to 3 years.
I love it. And I have no doubt that is exactly what you will be doing in 2 to 3 years if you continue on the trajectory that you're on.
Let's circle back in 2 to 3 years and hold me accountable.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have you back. And you and I are going to continue talking and continue sharing.
I hope so.
And I would love to bring you back on the podcast. Before we wrap things up here, I'd love your take on our final question. What's one thing that a small firm architect can do today to build a better business for tomorrow?
Connect. I think people can't hire you if they don't know you exist. And if your goal is to get hired and to design projects for people, letting people know that you exist. And the way to do that is, again, we just talked about it for an hour. Broadcast yourself. Let people know what you do best, what you're passionate about, because that helps. I want the architect who loves to design homes, not the one who will design a home because I asked him to. So that passion. So yeah, make yourself known. And like I said, people can't hire you if they don't know you exist. So putting yourself out there in an authentic and genuine way.
Share your story.
Share your story. Share your process.
His name is Dory Azar. Dory Azar Architect is the firm. DoryAzar.com is the website. And he is at Dory Azar Architect on Instagram and TikTok. Put a little dot between Dory Azar and Architect. So Dory.Azar. azar.architect, and you'll find him. You could search for Dory and you will find him on Instagram and social media. I'm sure you're probably already following him if you are on social media. If you're an architect, you're likely already following him. But Dory, Azar Architect. You also have a merch shop, right? You have a really cool merch shop. You want to talk about that a little bit before we hang up here?
Sure. So part of the things that I used to do on my TikTok lives, we would design floor plans in the shapes of all the letters of the alphabet. So I'm drinking from one right now. I don't know how well it's, but this is my D mug and it's in the shape of a letter D and it's a floor plan. And they're actually like real, like you could build that.
Yeah, real functional floor plans.
Yeah, they're real functional floor plans. So we have those on mugs and prints, and we have some sort of rock and roll inspired architecture t-shirts, pint glasses, stuff like that. So if anybody's looking for a cool architectural gift for somebody, or somebody in construction or engineering or architecture, check out my merch shop. It's linked right through my website, so you can find it there.
All right, and we will put a link to the merch shop on the show notes as well. So just go to the show notes for this episode, and you'll find all the links for everything we talked about today. Dory, thank you for being out there, sharing your knowledge, sharing the information about architecture and being an architect, because not only are you helping you are helping our entire profession by the work that you're doing. You're changing the world, literally, by doing the work that you're doing. So I appreciate you for that. And thank you for coming by here and sharing your story and your knowledge at Entre Architect Podcast.
I love the whole Entre Architect group, Mark. I thank you for having me. I'll keep telling my story and sharing and representing architects as best I can.
Well, thank you for that. If you liked this episode of Entre Architect Podcast, please share a link to this episode with a friend. Either just click the share button or highlight the URL and send the link to this episode with a friend, because that's how Entre Architect has grown to serve thousands more architects just like you throughout the 10 plus years of Entre Architect. That's how we've grown, architect to architect. So I would love for you to share this episode and all the episodes with one friend every week. Would love that. And thank you to our sponsors for this episode. We don't have an episode if there's no sponsors. So thank you to our sponsors. Links to those sponsors, which you should go visit and click, and all the resources that we discussed today for this specific episode, they are all available at entrearchitect.com/podcast. Every episode that we've recorded is there, entrearchitect.com/podcast. Go click the links to the sponsors and say hello. Entre Architect is a member of the Gable Media Podcast Network. You should go visit that at gablemedia.com. That is the next evolution of interactive media and resources for the AEC community. You can now earn continuing education credits for listening to select episodes of this podcast, Entre Architect Podcast. Yes, AIA CEUs for listening to a podcast. It's there, and many other podcasts are there as well, and you can listen to all of them and get credit. Learn more about our program, Gable Members Program, at the gablemedia.com/members website. That's GABL media.com/members. And if you are a small firm architect, join us today at Entre Architect Network. That is the worldwide organization for small firm entrepreneur architects. If you own your own architecture firm, you are an entrepreneur architect. You are an Entre Architect. With weekly live group business coaching, we have business coaching there, monthly live business training with AIA CEUs, 2 a month, so 24 AIA credits per year, including 12 of those are HSWs. We have them in the membership. Business resources, all the resources you need to run your business, special session webinars, mastermind groups, and a thriving community of small firm architects just like you. Hundreds of architects are there waiting for you to join. So we provide the support and encouragement you need to succeed as a small firm architect. I know that you haven't been trained as a business person when you launched your firm. That's what we do. Come learn how to run a business at Entre Architect Network. And today you can go join right now for free for 30 days at this link, entrearchitect.com/30 days. Will give you free 30 days for membership. Go check it out at entrearchitect.com/30 days, and I will see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of Entre Architect Podcast. My name is Mark R. LePage, and I want you to remember 3 words: love, learn, share. Have a great day.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gable Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gable Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gable Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gable Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark Arlepage, founder of Entree Architect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.